Our team. They've done an amazing job, and they make everything so pretty. Isn't that awesome? I know we went outside last night, and the sails were up in the portico, and I was like, wow. And all the little kids at school today, they were walking through, and they were like walking to the playground. Like, what's going to happen up there? So, welcome to Priceless. If you know of somebody that couldn't be here tonight, everything is live streamed, all of the services in the morning and the nighttime. So if you know of somebody who's at home tonight or they couldn't be here or they're not in Pensacola, you can tell them to go to jubileeintl.org and they can watch live tonight. So, or tomorrow night. So anyway, I'm so happy to have Pastor Judy Shaw with us this weekend. And she is doing a lot of cool new things, and she is not traveling quite as much for this purpose. And I was so honored that she still came. I was like, yes. And so she's going to be sharing with us tomorrow night and on Sunday. And who knows, we're a team, so she may just pop up here at any time, and you just never know. So anyway, so happy to have her. And Dave Wagner is going to be ministering tomorrow morning. So you don't want to miss that. I finally invited him back. He tried to die once. He was out of town once. He's had all these conflicts. So I said, listen, I just need you to be here and not die. And just come. And whatever God says is fine. So he agreed to do that. I actually asked Molly's permission, didn't I? I texted Molly and said, is it okay if I ask Dave to speak? Because this is her conference, not his, right? So she gave me permission. So then I texted Dave and said, hey, I got permission from Molly, so you can come. So he'll be here in the morning, and lots of good stuff that's going to be going on. So I really do believe I have a word from the Lord for you tonight, and I want you to open your heart up like Pastor Aaron said and get ready. And, I love to think about the woman with the issue of blood, because when she went into that crowd, she was relentless to not leave until she got what she was there for. So I encourage you to fight your way through everything tonight. And like Pastor Aaron said, lock your eyes on Jesus and lean your whole self in until you touch him tonight. Amen? That's what we want to do. That's what I want to do. Well, tonight I want to talk to you. Back in September and October, God started speaking to me about what we needed to do coming into this year for our women and for this conference. And, he started talking to me about imagine the possibilities. I was walking through like 3 places in one day, and I saw this same sign. I love words. I love signs with words. How many of you like all those? When you go in a store, you just like walk around and go, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's fun. Oh, that's funny. So you're walking around, and I love that. My whole kitchen has like all sorts of stuff with words everywhere, and I love them. And so I saw 3 in one day that said, imagine the possibilities. And I was like, at that particular time, my dad, Jesus took my dad a little bit early, in my opinion, but he didn't ask me, so whatever. But I was still processing a lot of that back in September and October, and I was like, imagine the possibilities. Well, I don't really want to imagine much of anything right now. I'm just trying to get through tomorrow, and I'm trying to get through the next 5 minutes. Does anybody in the room know what I'm talking about? And God said, but I need you to see beyond that. I need you to see further, and I need you to see farther, and I need you to see up here, and I need you to imagine what is possible. And I'm like, yeah, been there, done that. Didn't work out so well. Not really wanting to look up ahead right now. And so God and I, as we regularly do, have this argument that's only one-sided. And it's never good to argue with him because it never works out. But I try it anyway. I don't know. And so I had a tough time with that. So I started really thinking about that. I said, I want to imagine something different. I want to see what's up ahead. God, I really do want to see what is life going to be like now. I want to see what's the church going to look like now? What's Jubilee going to look like now? What's our leadership going to look like now? How are we going to function with my family and my brother as my new pastor? Help me, Jesus. How's that going to look now? He's an awesome pastor. I'm so just kidding. He's way nicer than my dad. Woo. And I said, this is the first women's conference. I'm not going to get in trouble with my pastor for doing something wrong. Because I would always come out of something and my dad would be like, you didn't blah, 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 blah. And I would be like, I'd go home. And my mom was like, Lyndall, don't tell her that. She's trying to run a conference, la, la, la. And if you're on the leadership and we're with me, you can say amen. And so, anyways, we've gone through some transition. But I was trying to see up ahead. And, we're a very visual generation. We live in a visual generation. And I have the privilege of owning a brain training center called Learning RX. And, Learning RX, brain training, get smarter. Train the brain, get smarter. Little commercial, just throwing it out there. But I find that the kids and the people we work with when we're training cognitive skills, their visual is usually higher than almost any other skill, or their auditory, other things if they're struggling. Because we're such a visual generation. You don't have to have a face-to-face conversation. You text. Email is almost outdated. I'm just saying. Chat, you text, with this, with that. You're on social media, you just Instagram it, you just post it, you just this, you comment on it, you like it, you unlike it, you unfriend, you friend, you this, you that. And it's like, everything I'm just seeing, I don't really have to have a face-to-face conversation. I'm not having as many conversations. I'm being more visual. And the root word of imagine is image. And what happens in your mind is you should see images. That's what your visual processing does. Your visual processing that God created in your brain is for you to create pictures up here in your head. So like if you're reading a really cool book, because we all have time to sit around and do that, but if you were, you should be kind of creating the movie in your head when you're reading it. How many of you do that? That's why when the movie comes out, you're frustrated, because you already had your own movie when you read that book, and now they have messed that up. That's your visual processing. So we're a very visual generation. And we see things a lot. So to me, imagination or imagine should be very easy, because we should just be able to see that. So in this visual generation, and I'm trying to catch up to it. I am not a social media person. I'm trying to make myself be. I really am. I just don't like it, but I'm trying. So I have a Facebook and Instagram and all that for other people. So enjoy what I put up there, because it's for you. It's not for me. And because I wouldn't have it, But I know that my 94-year-old grandmother wants to see pictures of Sophia, so I put them on Facebook. And yes, my 94-year-old grandmother has a Facebook. And comments on everything. I'm like, what is going on? My friend Anna doesn't have a Facebook, but my grandmother has Facebook. But we're this visual generation, and I do like Instagram, but the thing is, this is what we do, and I wish I had my phone up here. Maybe somebody can grab my phone. It's in my pink bag. Go figure, it'd be pink. And this is what we do. We snap and upload the picture, and everybody sees it, right? It's like immediate. It's awesome, right? We snap, we upload. That's the generation we live in. Snap and upload. How many of you this week have taken a picture and immediately uploaded it? I don't want to know what picture it was. Of your children, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is. So like right now, we're going to do a selfie together. I hate selfies. But you're going to do it with me right now, because there are some of you in the audience, because I have seen your Facebooks, that you really like them. I'm like, there's another picture. Oh, look, another picture of her. Now she's in the car. Now she's at the house. Now she's with her kids. Oh, look, she's still, yep, there she is again. You know who you are, selfie abusers. So if we take a picture right now, which we're about to do, as soon as I figure out how to work my phone. Okay. This is really fun. I am not a selfie taker. Look, you're like, don't take my picture. This is copyrighted or something. All right, you ready? 1, 2, 3. Woo! Nobody can really see you. Oh, I just turned it off. Dang it. Let me try again. I need a selfie stick. I know. Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was awesome. I always cut my nose off. I only see my eyes. But here's the point. Right now, I could just type this into Instagram, and in a matter of seconds, if you follow me on Instagram, you can see it. And I always go ahead and put it to Facebook and Twitter and all that at one time so that everybody's happy with the one picture I sent for the month. So it's all up on one thing. But that's the generation. We're visual like that. Now let me take you back for just a minute. Because back in the day, we had film. I have people in crazy places. I actually want to thank Caligaz Photos. They're right here, local in Pensacola. A little shout out to Caligaz Photos. They actually are a really cool local photography store. And they had this and actually told us you can throw it away when you're done with it, which is sad. But yeah, see, we had this. How many of you remember 35 millimeter film? Is that what's in here? 35 millimeter film? Oh, right here. Here it is, people. Here it is. Who does not remember 35 millimeter film? I love you, girls. I love you. Okay. I'm old. You're old. If you remember, you're old. Now, you remember back in the day we had Polaroid cameras. When Polaroid cameras came out, we were like, what? I can get the picture right now. I don't have to wait anymore. And so we started taking Polaroid pictures. Then you could get 1 hour photo. Oh my goodness. I can go on a trip, come back, take my 35 millimeter film out, take it to Walmart, and in an hour I can have all the pictures from my trip that no one in this room would see, just the people I actually am in contact with. Right? Now, this is the new Polaroid camera. Who has seen the new Polaroid cameras? This is current. I know this only because my 15-year-old daughter wanted this camera for Christmas. And she wanted it in yellow. It comes in baby blue, it comes in pink. All the other colors were available, but not yellow. So it took an act of God to get the yellow camera. But here it is. So here's the deal. I'm going to try to follow Jasmine's instructions, and you should have seen her teaching me this earlier. Wait, let's see. There we go. She's like, so Mom, you look through this little thing right here to see. Because there's not a touch screen that you're looking at. So we're going to take a picture right now. Who wants their picture? Y'all want your picture? I'm going to take you two. Okay, are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Look where it's going to come out. Oh, what? What? But look, there's nothing on my picture. Why is that? Because it's got a process. That's right. But see, now we don't remember that there's a process to things because we just want to snap and upload it right now. So the thing is, this weekend, God is going to give you an amazing snapshot of where He sees you and where He wants you to go and to be and become. He's going to show you stuff. He's going to tell you stuff. You're going to have a vision. Somebody's going to give you a prophetic word. He's going to talk to you. You're going to write something down. You're going to come out of this and you're going to be like, God said I was going to be a worship leader. He said I was going to go to the marketplace and speak to thousands of people who have tons of money. He said I was going to do this. I was going to do that. And we walk out of here, and by next week, if something hasn't happened like this, we're like, maybe that wasn't a true word. That was probably just me. I was just excited at the conference. I don't know. That prophetic word wasn't true. That wasn't from God, because I don't see anything changing. It looks worse since I got home. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Look, you're developing right there. It's awesome. So that's what happens. And I'll never forget when about a year ago, I posted a video of my two beautiful daughters, my 14-year-old and my 2-year-old, singing, "Do you want to build a?" Nice. And so super cute. Jazzy would sing, and Sophie would finish, and Jazzy would sing. And I was like, that's so cute. And so I uploaded the video. And about an hour later, I came back into my kitchen, and my daughter, the older daughter, was standing something like this. She's like, excuse me, why did you post a video of me on Instagram without my permission? I said, what video? You know what video. And she made it very clear to me that I was never, ever to post a picture or a video of her without permission. And I was like, I felt like the people in the exit row, actually, where they're like, I need a verbal yes. I'm going to need a verbal yes if you're going to sit here that you are agreeing to do or never do this again. But we live in this generation that's so normal. It's so normal. And we try to apply that to our spiritual life. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? So before Instagram and Facebook and digital cameras and instant upload, there was a process to developing film. And people still use that process. And of course, I did what any person would do who has no idea about developing film. I went to Google, and I Googled it, and I went to Wikipedia, and now I am all-knowing about all things film development. So that's what this is. So we have all of this stuff up here that represents what all happens in the development phase. And so I'm going to quickly tell you that process. First thing is it has to be completely in the dark. So this right here would not work to develop film. It has to be completely in a dark room. Completely. If it's not in a dark room, then the image you're trying to create will be destroyed, or will be distorted, or will be blurred. And what happens to those kind of photos? Whoop, in the trash they go. Get rid of that, start the process all over again. Step 1, it has to be in the dark. Step 2 is this chemical thing called the developer. It sounds like a superhero, the developer. And so you put your film, if you're doing it yourself at home and not at Target or Walmart, and you unscrew this thing, and the film goes down in this thing because it's completely dark in here, and you pour this chemical solution, and you can either pour it where it covers everything, or you can shake it, and they call that the agitator. That's kind of fun. And so it has to completely be immersed in this developer chemical. The third thing is called the stop bath, which is an interesting name. And so what you do after that comes out and you create a negative, now you're making your print and all that. You take this, obviously you can't touch it with your fingers, but you take it with one of these things, and you put it in the stop bath, which immediately stops that other chemical from working. Some of you have some of you developed film? Some of you are like, yes, that's right. Good job, Angela. Good job. Okay. I told you I'm all-knowing. Google. And the fourth thing after the stop bath is you now do another chemical process called the fixer. How many of you would like God to be your fixer? Come on, somebody. So the fixer is what stabilizes the image so it can continue to develop in its fullness. And then the last step is you wash it. Just wash it with water. You clean it off. You wash it. You give it a little shower. And then you have this amazing print that came from nothing, from a moment when you took a picture and a camera. And you have this thing. So I started really thinking through that process. And I started thinking about the fact that first of all, if it wasn't completely in the dark, that it was going to destroy the image. And you have to put it through all of this process in order for it to be developed. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't like the word process. I don't want to wait for a process. I don't want to participate in a process. I just want it to be done. I don't even like punching the time on the microwave. It takes too long. There's a process for something to happen. And last October, I was sharing with you that I was really struggling with what I couldn't see up ahead. I couldn't see what God was doing up ahead. And so I went on a trip by myself with my husband and my children saying, please go, please, you need Jesus. You should go to a conference. Like, really, they said that. They're like, Mommy, you need some Jesus. You should go. I'm like, yeah, I probably do. So I got in the car by myself, drove 5.5 hours where I knew not a soul, which was awesome, and went there. And on the way there, we had just finished our October conference here, and there was some awesome prophetic words that came, and I was like, well, the right thing for me to do is to spend all my time in worship. I'm going to pop those in. So I'm listening to my prophetic words, and I'm having some worship time, and I'm whatever. But really, my heart really isn't in it. I'm just doing it. And I said, God, I really love having a relationship with you. I love Jesus more than anything. I love him. But I really don't think I want to do the ministry thing. I love you, but I don't necessarily want to do what you've required of me. Because I saw this all playing out differently, so now it's not really the way I wanted it to go. So because of that, I would like to just do it my way and not do all of this. Because I've spent my whole life laying my life down, and I thought everything was going to be different, and now here we are. And so God said to me, you know what, Ange? Well, you don't want to know mine and God's conversations. I have to be talked to hard. I'll just put it that way. But he said to me, you know what? I'm going to do this thing with or without you. And I was like, what? Excuse me? What? Wait a second. I am just like my dad, and I've been laying my life down at the church, and But he said, but you just said you didn't want that. So here's the deal, Angela. I spoke a vision over your life. I spoke a vision over your family. I spoke a promise over Jubilee. I spoke promises over your city and your community in Pensacola. And I have spoke promises and vision over the nations of the world connected to this place. And I'm going to fulfill every one of those, with or without you. Aren't you glad God doesn't talk to you like that? Or maybe he does. And I was like, So he's like, so do you want to do it with me or not? And I did not give him an answer. I honestly did not answer him. I thought, I don't know if lightning's going to strike in front of my car, but I am not giving you an answer. Because I was like, I don't know. Because whatever I answer you, I better mean it. So I drove my little self right onto this little conference and put on my fun clothes like you're doing this weekend. And I went in and I worshiped and I did and I listened. And God kept saying, so hey, are you going to do this with me? Or are you going to watch from the sidelines? What are you going to do? Because either way, it's going to happen. And you can either be in the middle of it and be right up in it, or you can be over here watching everybody else be up in it. So it wasn't until the very last night of the conference that I was like in a moment of worship, just like you're sitting in this weekend. And I was like, okay, God, I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to do it with you. I don't want to watch from the sidelines. I don't care what it costs me. And in that moment, there was a snapshot for me. There was the picture. There was the snapshot. So I come back. I am pumped up. I'm like, I am back. I am back. I am ready. I'm going to minister. I'm ready, Lynn. I'm going to preach. I'm going to this. I'm going to that. And they let me preach on a Sunday. That was fun. I'm just kidding. But I came back. I'm like, all right, I'm in. I'm in. And I'm telling you, from the time I got home, it was like being a punching bag for the enemy. We're in a lawsuit. We're still in a lawsuit. It's just a nightmare in our business. It's all this crazy stuff that's going on in our lives right now. And it's just like bam, bam, bam. And I was like, okay, that is not the picture that I saw in the moment of worship when God said, here it is, honey. I want that. God's like, okay, you can have that. But guess what? There's no such thing as snap and upload in the kingdom of God. Because there's something that God puts us through called a process. God puts us through a process. And what happens is, I would say, I don't know what the percentage is, but a lot of the time, we get the picture, we stay gung-ho for a while, we're sticking it out till the next blow, and then we quit the process. And our reason is, well, that must have not been God to begin with. Or I missed it, or somebody else missed it, or it's his fault, it's her fault, it's my husband's fault, it's my kid's fault, it's God's fault, it's the devil's fault. No, you just didn't want to stay in the process. So that's what I've been walking through, is what we call the process. I felt like all that we had walked through up until that point had been a pretty good process. I was like, come on, God. Paula's up there with you. My dad is up there with you. Trey is still not walking around. We've been through the process. God's like, no, that was just part of the process. I'm like, what? What? But see, the thing is, the image up here that you see has to be bigger and has to be more valuable so that you stay in the process. So let's look at a guy in Genesis 37. Turn to somebody and say, it's a process. It's a process. Genesis 37, I'm going to read out of the Message Bible, verse 1. How many of you ever heard of this guy named Joseph? There's lots of people in the Bible who went through a process. This is the story of Jacob. The story continues with Joseph, 17 years old. How old is he? He's 17 years old. Helping out his brothers in herding the flocks. And these were his half-brothers, actually. The sons of his father's wives, Bilhah and Zilpah. Listen, don't ever name your children that. And Joseph brought his father bad reports on them. Oh, Joseph was a tattletale. Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other sons because he was the child of his old age. I can relate. And he made him an elaborately embroidered coat. And when his brothers realized that their father loved him more than them, they grew to hate him, and they wouldn't even speak to him. So here's what God does. Joseph had a dream. I'm in verse 5. And when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. He got a snapshot at 17 years old. He said, listen to this dream I had, you guys. We were all out in the field gathering bundles of wheat, and all of a sudden my bundle stood up straight, and your bundle circled around it and bowed down to mine. What a great picture. I'm sure that he took great pleasure in telling them this, and they took great pleasure in hating him all the more for bringing this up. And then his brother said, so you're going to rule us? You're going to boss us around? And they hated him more. And then, to top it all off, Joseph has another dream. And he told this one to his brothers also. I dreamed another dream. The sun and the moon and 11 stars bowed down to me. So when he told his father, when he told it to his father and brothers, his father reprimanded him. What's all this dreaming about? Am I, your mother and brothers, all supposed to bow down to you? And now his brothers were really jealous. So here's Joseph. He's 17 years old. He's got a snapshot. 2, actually, really cool snap and upload pictures that he could torment his brothers with. Now, one of the first things we do when we snap and upload a picture is we want people to what? Like it. Who has more likes on their picture? You know you post something and you just glance at your phone and you're like, oh, look, I've got like 5 likes. Yep. Oh, look, there's 2 comments. Let me open those. Let me read this. You know you do it. Who does it? You do it. I know you do. And you want to know how many likes you have. Listen. When God gives you a snapshot of something, he doesn't care how many likes you have. He needs you to get in the dark room and like him. That's what he needs you to do. But we don't want to start our process like that. We need to go tell everybody the snapshot. We need everyone to be a part of the picture that God has shown me about me. And that's what Joseph did. Guess what? He didn't get any likes. There were no little hearts by his picture. He wanted his brothers to like it, but they didn't. He wanted to maybe torment them with it. I don't know. But listen, Joseph was going to have to go through a process. And he had no idea what that entailed. He had no idea how long that was going to take. He had no idea what was going to be required of him. But he sure liked that picture. He liked that image. Imagine that happening. Awesome. Here's what's going to happen for you to get there. Listen, it's not about performance, it's about preparation. And you should write that down. It's not about performance, it's about preparation. That's why we don't finish the process. Because we thrive on performance, those likes and all these things, and how people feel about it. That's why to get a word about doing anything in the spotlight is the most dangerous process now you're going to go through. Because remember when I said everything has to be in the dark room? It has to be dark. Let me tell you something. The spotlight will destroy you. Especially if it's a word from God. And if you are interested in performance and you are not interested in preparation, it will be a mess. It's about preparation, not performance. You know, sometimes we're looking for the next thing that looks like the old thing. And here's what I mean by that. When I was walking through that process, going back and forth with God about what I wanted, as if that matters, and going back and forth on all this stuff, I had so many people say, oh, Angela, you're so much like your dad. You're so much like your dad. Yes, I know. You should do it like this. And so then we had a new pastor step in, who is my amazing brother, who's an amazing pastor. And he stepped in, and people are like, wait, we don't do it that way. That's not how pastor did it. Wait, pastor, no, pastor didn't do it that way. You're right. He didn't. And we have to take the things that are on the inside of us that are like him, but we have to reach a generation right now. And so here's the problem. This is the problem in American churches because we want the next new thing to just be the new old thing. No, we need the next new thing to be the next new thing. If it looks like something back here, that was for another generation. That was for something else. That was for somebody else. We have to be in the moment. We have to be where God is telling us to be and doing what God's telling us to do right now. And that's all in the preparation. It's all in the preparation of finding out who I am and looking up there. I know I have an image of my dad on the inside, but I'm not just a younger version of the same thing. Don't be mad. I have to take the gifts that I have that I was trained up by him that I wouldn't trade for the world, but I have to apply them for this generation. We want a formula for success, you know that? Instead of wrestling with the Holy Spirit. That's what this is right here. Go in the dark room, take time, go through the process, don't skip any of the steps, don't touch it, don't expose it to light, Some of you need to make the dark room your permanent address for the next 6 months. That's been my permanent address a lot for the last 6 months. Because let me tell you something. If I can't get in where he is, the reason you got to go in the dark room is because there's no image till you go where he is. I can't imagine up there until his image is forged in me. And when I step myself into the place with him and I say, God, all this is staying out there. Everybody's likes, everybody's dislikes, everybody's stuff that they're expecting or not expecting. Right now, I got to get only with you because there is an image of you in me, but nobody else is seeing it. So I haven't been through the process. Because it's only when you go through the process that the image like I took earlier now has an image on it. Because it went through a process. See, God's in me, but you just see the white blank sheet. You know why? Because I don't look or sound anything like him. So his image is not on me or in me. Because I haven't been in the dark room and gone through the process. But when I get in the dark room, and I allow him to let me go through the process, all of a sudden, you don't see me now, you see him. Because it's not my image, it's his image that you have to see. And now when his image, his eyes are in my eyes, his ears are in my ears, and his image is completely forged into me, now it's so easy for me to see that up there and not take my eyes off of it. Because I'm seeing through him, not through me. Are you following me? Don't let me lose you. I know it's kind of intense. But we just want this formula for success. Oh, I hope when Angela gets up, she gives me the 5 points that I need to get from here to here. I just feel she's going to do that tonight. No, I'm not going to do that because there is no 1, 2, 3 fix for you. You need to go through the process. And if you don't want to go through the process, then stay where you are. You can stay right where you are and be unproductive and do nothing for God. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. That doesn't sound very fun, does it? Listen, don't get in the spotlight. Don't get in the spotlight. All right, so let's finish this thing up quickly. Genesis 39. So we're going to fast forward in Joseph's life a little bit. And most of you know at that point, after his little dream sharing, his little upload of his pictures that no one liked, they threw him in a pit. Now, it says in Genesis 37, they actually wanted to kill him. That was their plan. They had all intentions to murder him and really did not think twice about it. But one brother convinced them to say, well, just throw him in the pit and then we'll figure out what to do with him later. Don't kill him yet. So they did, and then they had the bright idea that these people were coming through town that were buying slaves, so they decided to sell him to these people who were headed back to Egypt. Okay, so that has all happened now. Are you guys with me? So here they are. He's in Egypt. Genesis 39 and verse 1. So after Joseph had been taken to Egypt by the Ishmaelites, Potiphar, an Egyptian, one of Pharaoh's officials and manager of his household, bought him from them. So he's already been sold once. Now he gets sold again. He doesn't belong to himself. He has nothing that belongs to him. His whole little everybody bowing down to me is not looking so hot right now. In verse 2, as it turned out, God was with Joseph, and things went very well with him. Who was with Joseph? Oh. See, the thing is, if we'll stay in the process, God never leaves us. We leave him. You're going to find over and over, it says that, everywhere Joseph was, they noticed. Other people noticed God was with him. He didn't have to say, look, I am a man of God. It was obvious because God was with him. His image was being forged on him and in him. So it says he ended up living at the home of his Egyptian master, and his master recognized that God was with him and saw that God was working for good in everything he did. He became very fond of Joseph and made him his personal aide, put him in charge of all his personal affairs, turning everything over to him. And from that moment on, God blessed the home of the Egyptian, all because of Joseph. The blessing of God spread over everything he owned, at home and in the fields, and all Potiphar had to concern himself with was eating 3 meals a day. Come on, somebody. Send us a Joseph. So here's Potiphar. He sees, man, God is with this guy. Everything he touches is good. Everything he sets his hand to do, it's working, it's happening, it's awesome. Listen, I want this guy to be right here. So all of a sudden, he's a slave. Now he's in charge. And Joseph's probably thinking, yes, I have made it through the process. God rescued me. He didn't let my brothers murder me. I'm alive. They threw me in the pit. That was kind of a bad experience. But I got sold to some really nice people who then sold me to this cool guy, and God has just stayed with me, and I stuck this thing out. I have arrived. We are about on step 1 of the film process right now. We're about to go to the agitator. Okay. So listen to what happens. When his master heard his wife's story telling him, these are the things your slave did to me, he was, I just went way ahead. Fast forward. So Potiphar's wife had a little thing for Joseph. She says Joseph was a nice-looking guy. He was single. That apparently didn't matter to her that she was married. So she was very interested in Joseph, and she thought, Joseph's hanging at the house all day. I should go ahead and get him to come sleep with me. That would be awesome. Well, Joseph, because he was sticking to the process, was not going to allow that to happen. But he got in a situation with a manipulative woman. Somebody say amen. Don't be a manipulative woman. And he got in a situation where he took off running out of her room. And of course, she conveniently had his coat. So, of course, she tells her husband, Joseph came in here and tried to take advantage of me, la, 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 la. It's like the next Lifetime movie. And so all this is happening. And so here we are. When his master heard his wife's story telling him, these are the things your slave did to me, he was furious. So what did he do with Joseph? He threw him in jail. Not just any jail, the jail where the king's prisoners were held. These people were not treated well. Now, if you follow Joseph's story, now he's in prison. His brothers hated him. snapshot. This is going to be you, Joseph. Woo! And then in the pit, maybe he won't get murdered. He gets sold. Now he's in charge. Now he got accused of something that was not true. His entire reputation has been blown, and now he's in jail. And so here's the thing. This is about the point where I would be like, I'm pretty much done with the process, because I'm okay for right now the image to not really be seen, because this is awful. But Joseph didn't do that. He dug his heels in, didn't miss a beat, and here he is in the jail, and he gets promoted in the jail. He's in charge of the prisoners. If you read on in all this, and there's not enough time for me to sit here and read it all, you need to go read it. But here he is now, he's in charge of all the prisoners. He's the head prisoner. If you could be the head of anything, why not be the head prisoner? And that was Joseph. And so while he's in there, there's the cupbearer and the baker. I don't know, it sounds like a fairy tale. They're all in jail, and they have dreams, and Joseph interprets their dreams, and then they get out of jail. And guess what? Everybody forgot all about Joseph. And all of a sudden, a few years later, they're in the king's presence, and the king has a dream. And all of a sudden, the cupbearer is like, oh, I remember this guy named Joseph that was in prison, and he interpreted my dreams. Maybe he's still down there. Maybe he's not dead yet. He could come interpret your dreams. And sure enough, here comes Joseph out of the prison into the king's palace, totally reads his mail, totally describes his dreams. And the next thing Joseph knows, now he is put second in charge to the Pharaoh. Anybody say roller coaster life, right? It's called the process. And you can read on, and you can get to the end, and it's an awesome story, because in the long run, his brothers came. There was 7 years of plenty, and then there was 7 years of famine. And the brothers showed up in the 7 years of famine, and he played this little game with them, which is very entertaining. You should read that whole story. It's kind of fun. And then finally, he reveals himself to his brothers and then to his father. And guess what came true? The picture. And now he's like 44 years old. How old was he when he got that snapshot? 17. Now he's 44 years old. And he just now finally saw what God saw way back there. But something kept Joseph in the process. And it wasn't just the image that he saw. It wasn't the snapshot. It was that no matter where he went in the process, he knew God stayed with him. When it was good, he was with him. When it was bad, he was with him. And Joseph didn't want to leave that and miss what God had for him way, way, way up there. And I don't know about you guys, when I was 17 years old, I had some amazing prophetic words that came over my life that I have seen some of them come to pass. One of them was, you're going to be a pastor. And I was like, I will never be a pastor. That will never happen. Everything in Pensacola will have to freeze over. Oh, wait, that happened last year. Everything will have to freeze over. I saw nasty church people. I was not going to be a pastor. Those people are mean. Or how about we redefine what church is? And we pastor people who aren't mean, but they're full of the love of God. We change that reputation. That's what I want to pastor. So age 44, he stuck out the process because he was willing to stay in the dark room and stick it out. It's a heart thing. And let me tell you something. The process can either take you to your destiny or it can sabotage your destiny. And you better know you're in the right process. What does your process look like? And I'm about to wrap it up in a couple minutes. What does your process look like? See, every time you choose to forgive instead of not forgiving, you just made another step in the process. Every time you don't look at that porn and that junk on the computer, every time you're about to open your mouth and gossip and you shut it, that's what the process looks like. It's every day, every moment, choices that you and I make. Because if I open my mouth to gossip, God is not with me in that. If I wanted to hold unforgiveness against someone that has offended me or done something to me, no matter how horrible it may be, I'm holding that and I'm taking myself out of the process. I stepped out of the dark room and the image got destroyed. Now I got to start all over again. What does your process look like? Does it look like forgiveness? Does it look like freedom? Does it look like, what does it look like? There's always this big gap between the picture, the anointing, and the appointing, if you want me to use churchy words, from the picture to where God's taking you. There's a big gap. And what you do in the gap is the process. And this weekend, I believe that you and I are getting some fresh snapshots. And I want you to leave here and be willing to go through the process. The process will not be easy. The process will feel like jail sometimes. The process will feel like the pit, and you think everyone's against you. It feels like that sometimes, but let me tell you something. God will be with you in the process if you don't quit. If you don't quit, get in the dark room. Get in that place and trust God in the process. Trust Him in it. The greatness that many of you ladies in this room are going to become is not based on you. It's about how much you become like Him. And the only way you get to become like Him is to go in the dark room and let His image be completely immersed onto you. So when you step out, people are like, oh wow, something's different. She's different. Something's different. Yeah, it's different because it's not me anymore. Because I've been with Him, and now I look like Him, and now I sound like Him. And now what you feel when you're around me is not resentment or offense or wonder if she's going to hurt my feelings. No, you're not going to hear that now. You're going to feel Jesus in me, the image. Imagine if you could stick it out. Some of you have a snapshot over your marriage. You have a snapshot for a marriage. You have a snapshot about kids. You have a snapshot about a business. You have a snapshot about ministry. You have a snapshot about things going on around your life. And the thing is this, don't quit the process before you get there. If you don't hear anything else I say tonight, don't quit the process. Because if you will stick it out with God, you're going to see it. You're going to see it. You won't have to imagine it anymore. You're going to see it. You're going to see it for yourself. You're going to experience it for yourself. Don't give up on it. Don't relent. God's not going to leave you. Don't leave Him. Don't leave the process. It's where He's taking you. Quit wasting time. Quit spinning your wheels. Get in the dark room. Get like Him. And let Him get His image in us. Gina and Dan, when you came in tonight, and I was going to pray for you earlier, and God told me to wait till the end. But I heard God say, you've been through the process when I was about to go up and speak, through the process. And I don't know all the details because I'm not up there as much as like Lynn or somebody else. I'm just telling you, God said, what looks like the pit or the jail of your process is not the end of the process. because that's not what you saw. That wasn't the snapshot. And I just believe that God is going to remind you of the snapshot. And if you will continue with everything you know and everything you can do, God is going to do something so supernatural that is going to be so unexpected. And I don't know what that means, but you know what that means. I'm just telling you because you've stuck out the process. It seems like it's over, but it's not over. And something supernatural is going to happen. I believe even when you get home from this trip, God's giving you a refreshing before the next thing. But it's about to happen. Come on, it's worth it to stick out the process. Amen. Judy, this thing this building thing was not something you imagined, but God imagined. The things that you guys are what's the word I'm looking for? Digging fresh ground there in some areas. That God said, oh, you're going to be in the marketplace. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. But now you're seeing it. You thought, what is that? You've probably had word after word. But you just keep doing the process till God takes you there. Come on, just close your eyes with me. When you close your eyes right now, I want you to see the picture. You may have lots of pictures up there. I don't know. But right now, I want you to pick at least one of them that you know God showed you. You know He did. There's no mistaking it. It can't be anything else or anybody else. This is all God. Get that picture in your head. And not one thing in your life might be lining up with that picture. But I'm telling you, God has not changed His mind about what He showed you. And if you came to this conference for no other reason but to not give up in the process, His image is about to get totally formed, stamped, engulfed, whatever word you want to use right there, in you and on you. Some of you have been trying to do the process with you. And when the process is just you, it's not going to work. God has to be with you in every moment, every step. Some of you haven't seen it because you're doing it your own way. I know that. I could do that every single day of my life, and I have to beat myself up every day to not do it myself. And let God. It's His picture to begin with. Come on, think about it right now. Shut everything else out for just a moment. I don't even want you to imagine anything if you're not going to stick out the process. It's pointless. It's pointless to imagine something if you're not going to stick it out to see it. And that's where God had me. Because when my dad was alive, I could imagine it. When he wasn't there, all of a sudden I decided I couldn't imagine it. But the problem was I just wasn't going through the process to see God's image and not mine. With or without Him, what are you going to do tonight? You going to do it with Him, or are you going to let Him do it without you? What are you going to do? Are you going to get in the dark room? Is that going to become your address for a little while? Quit talking. Quit asking everybody's opinion. Quit feeling sorry for yourself. Get in the dark room with Jesus and let Him put His image in you. Do an image exchange, whatever you got to do. Come on, let's just stand up to our feet. I know God's been working my heart for weeks, and I am not finished. I have not arrived. I may never arrive in the process. But I'll tell you one thing, I'm not going to quit the process. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop moving where God said. I'm not going to stop going. I'm not going to stop pursuing. I'm not going to give up just because I don't see it right now, because God sees it. If that's you, I just want you to, come on, just run up to the front right now. Come on, get out of your seat. Don't think about it. Here's your dark room tonight. Here's your dark room right here. Come up here for a few minutes. And I just believe that God, where there has been blurred photos and damaged photos and stuff that you thought was going in the trash, God is about to reinstill his image tonight. Excuse me. He's about to reinstill his image tonight in us. Come on, come up here with that picture. Come up here. And I want you to see Jesus in the middle of that and not you. I want you to see Jesus making that happen and not you. He's the developer. He's the fixer. He's all the stuff. He's the stop bath. There's some stuff in some of your lives he wants to stop and readjust. And that's part of the process. And some of you don't have the strength on your own to stop some of it, but he's going to help you. He's going to help you. Come on, if you're at your seats, I just want a lady standing behind every single lady up here. I want somebody to come and lay your hands, because you need to know you're not in the process by yourself. You're not alone in the process. God is with you, and there's some other people right now that are about to come behind you and say, come on, girl. Come on, get back in the process. Finish the process. Don't quit. Don't give up. God hasn't changed his mind. You're not alone. 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 Come on, Ashley. God didn't change his mind. Stay in the process. Stay in the process. It's not fast enough for you, but stay in the process. Stay in the process. Come on, I want you to feel God's image like stamping in you right now. Come on, something's happening right now. Just raise both your hands. Just begin to say, God, I need your image. Here I am. I'm ready to go through the process. I'm ready to go through the process, God. Whatever you want from me. And mean it. And mean it. Come on, not in an emotional moment, but because you have to. Because there's no other choice. Because there's no other choice but to trust him. There's no other choice. Come on, Angie, it's a new day for you. Trust him.
Won't relent until you have it all. My heart is relent until you have it all.
Come on.
My heart is yours.
Come on, we're in the dark room right here.
Relent until you have it all. My heart is yours.
Come on, just tell him that.
He's
not going to relent. He's not going to let go of you, girls. He's not going to let go of you, girls. He's not letting go. He's not letting go. He's not letting go. Come on, his image is coming all over again. It's coming all over again. It's coming all over again. Dream again. Believe again. Dream again. Believe again. Give up cannot be in your vocabulary. I heard God say that. He's removing those words from your vocabulary and even your thoughts. It's not an option. It's not an option. There's no plan B. It's not an option. It's not an option. It's not an option.
Have it all.
on, nothing this time is going to get in the way. Pursue him. Come on, ladies, if you feel to minister to these girls up here, you're welcome to just start praying. Come on, let's just go release that right now. The image of God is in the room. The image of God is in the room. The image of God is here. He's putting it on you. He's putting it on me tonight. Be what we need tonight, God. Come be what we need tonight, God. Come be what we need.
Talk about you like you're not in the room. Wanna look right at you.
Come on, ladies. Come on, press in, press in.
I don't wanna talk about you like you're not in the room. I wanna look right at you.
Come on, press in tonight. Press in tonight. The image that you have. Come on, your picture, your image is coming into focus with his image. Your picture is coming into focus with his picture. The process is taking you where God wants you to be till you see what he sees. Look at him. His eyes are the process of your picture. His eyes are the process of your image tonight.